Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel, of course. And thanks for everybody who is subscribed already. I am going live offering some free clairvoyant readings in December. So you'll have to stay tuned in order to find out what dates I'm going live on here. So if you do want to book a private reading, soulworkwithjenny.com. So I'm going to be talking about the energies this week, what is coming up daily, how we can work with them, and so on. So let's talk about the 15th of November to the 22nd. We are moving into Sagittarius season. How many Sagittarius are out there? How many? Put your hand up. Let me know. Make some comments, you guys, and like my channel. Let me know what's going on with you. We're still battling Mercury retrograde. That's going to continue until the end of November. And we've had a lot of solar flares and solar storms. There's that can really knock a person down. So you might have, why was my sleep disturbed? Why am I all of a sudden feeling really upset, emotional out of nowhere over the simplest things? Like solar flares, solar storms causes huge disruption on our earth. It affects everybody. It affects our animals. It affects even our weather. So this is why suddenly, let's say during a solar storm, we can get like some severe storms coming in, so it's like suddenly this could happen or suddenly that could happen. So whenever there's solar storms, I'm like, I'm not going to be going out there today. It depends, but you just got to be more mindful because it can cause sudden people to pass away. Like, let's say if somebody was struggling, they were sick, that could be the time where they pass away because that energy is so powerful. We can pass away during that time. So I'm not saying that's happening with everybody, but it's a higher time because of cosmic, you know, technical issues. I mean, we have Mercury retrograde, for goodness sakes, which causes technical issues, electronical issues. And with the solar flares on top of that, oh my gosh, right? Like there's something that I want to start, but because of Mercury retrograde, I'm like, not a chance. I'm going to start learning how to do that today, let's say, because it's more technical stuff. So this is the time where it's like, okay, I'm going to plan around certain times. This is why I do these videos, because it can help you plan certain days when to do things and when not to do things, of course, right? So just, be more compassionate with yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. When emotions start coming up, release it, let it go, because your body, mind, and spirit and the universe wants you to heal from past situations. So this is why certain memories will sneak up. All of a sudden, we're like, where did that come from? That's going to continue on. And this is why we can't run from situations. Mercury retrograde gives us this opportunity to really resolve situations. There's a lot of miscommunication in Mercury retrograde as it is. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? Geez, where did that message go? I'm waiting on a message. Where is it? Why is everything delayed? That's Mercury retrograde, right? So we can say things out of anger and we're like, and then the next day we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that, or I sent that message, or all of that, right? We're humans. We're humans. We can't fight against these cosmic forces. We can only work with them as best as possible, right? So we also have this new moon in Scorpio. Like Scorpio is really, really transformational. There's death as well during new moons, more passings as well, animals, people. It's super transformational. When we're going through transformations, it can go either way. Oh, I'm still struggling with this. I'm still struggling with that. We all have our struggles, all have our struggles. Just be gentle with yourself. Again, I'm just going to keep on reminding you guys, you know what I mean? Like we're all going through situations. We're all going through healings. We're all going through, like all of us are. I don't know one person on this planet Earth that's like, my life is perfect. No, of course not. There's no such thing. Earth is our lessons, our Earth school lessons. That's why it can be really painful, right? I mean, I'd seriously rather be right back here on the islands in Hawaii. I took this photo a few years ago in Maui. I mean, I would rather be right there, I can tell you that. However, we have to be grateful for what we do have. Don't look at what you don't have. Be truly grateful with what you do have, right? That's the key right there. We can work towards goals and things like that. I mean, actually, even this week, you might even find that you're decluttering a lot more. I'm actually giving more stuff away and dropping more stuff off at like the Goodwill, and that actually this afternoon. So pay attention to, and I've had people say, why don't you just sell it? You could make money. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather give stuff away for people that don't have the means to buy it. I was actually thinking of giving it to a friend of mine because I know she'd love it, but I'm like, I'm not going to drive way across the other side of the city to drop it off. No. So I'm going to donate it to Goodwill, which is actually a 5-minute drive away from me. So, declutter what you're like, I don't need this anymore. Or do I really need that? Or if it's clothes, animal shelters, especially as we're going into winter, they need blankets, like really, call them up and say, what, do you guys need anything? Like if it's blankets, if it's dog beds, if it's food, if like anything like that, like anything at all. You know what I mean? This is where we have to have more compassion towards humanity, towards our animals, and so on. Right. But that person is making $1 billion, Jenny. Well, good for them, right? Like, how do you think they're just sitting back, enjoying life and everything like that? I mean, they don't have to worry about bills. However, the more money you make, being a real big leader in that, you're going to be working a lot more. There's always going to be problems. It's like certain people, when they step up to, let's say, being like a higher position at work, that's wonderful. That's great. Good on you. That is more responsibility for you. Oh, Jen, I'm getting paid a lot more. That's great. We all need money to survive, and follow your passion, what works for you, and follow and go after your dreams. But with more responsibilities comes more work, right? So it depends on what lifestyle you want. Like I've had people say, well, this person doesn't make this much money, so I'm not interested in them. It's not good enough for my standards. So I've heard a lot. We've all heard a lot, so we have to go on, law of attraction, basically, law of attraction. If you're looking for relationships, there's no such thing as perfect. It doesn't exist in the world at all, right? Make sure you write down what qualities you're looking for. Really pay attention to what is not working, because this week you're really going to be making some radical changes. We still have that expect the unexpected energy right now. Like it is going on. It's going on. So you're going to find that this week it could be like more of a rude awakening. We're going to see like, oh my gosh, I got to reevaluate this. Like no matter what it is, this isn't working for me. But your intuition is going to also be a lot stronger. So make sure that you pay attention to, you know, I'm feeling strong about this. Like even the spontaneity, it's more about spontaneity. Even all of a sudden, like what I'm giving away, even I gave something away, when was it? 2 weeks ago to a friend of mine. He's like, oh my God, like you can make some money like off of that. I'm like, you know what? Take it. I really appreciate you helping me out with this or that, you know? So go in your own comfort zone. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, we can sell things and make money or whatever, of course. Nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I prefer to give certain people certain things. We all know what it's like to not have things. You know what I mean? Certain things that we might need, like blankets, let's say, for the dog shelters. Where we're like, oh yeah, I got like 100 blankets in my closet. Do you really need 100 blankets in your closet. There's people out there freezing to death, homeless people, people that, all of that. So just really, really keep your heart open. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to be away for the winter months myself. The winters here are just horrifically cold. I'm not in a position to afford that. Of course, some people are. You know what I mean? So this is when it's like, be grateful for where you are, what you have. We can work towards things. And I keep repeating that, but it's so true. You're going to be really looking at, the reason I brought this up too, is because you're really going to be looking at what choices you made in the past shows you where you are today. Relationships, a job, whatever it is. So you're going to be reflecting and reevaluating a lot to do. So this is where the week you're going to be like, oh my God, I got to make these changes. So as we move into, that's the 15th and the 16th of this week, right? As we're starting off. So as we move into the 17th and 18th, you are going to be doing reflecting over these past karmic situations, which is tied into what choices you made. You could find that, you know what, I'm going to be more disciplined right now. I'm going to set new goals, intentions. I'm going to really see this through right now. I'm more ready because you're going to see more truth coming out, especially in relationships. So you're going to be facing your fears a little bit more head on. So your sleep could be a little light on and off as well. Solar flares, of course, but we have that new moon coming in on the 20th. So this is the time when we're going to have even more vivid dreams. We've been having vivid dreams for a little while. So before you go to sleep or having a nap, let's say, and you're like, gosh, I'd like to know how do I deal with this? Ask spirit before you go to sleep to say, spirit, can you show me what to do with this situation? Or show me how things are going to play out. And also, too, what you have on your mind is going to be showing. I mean, I was watching a show, actually. I have a television in my bedroom. And sometimes I'll just watch a little TV, something light, nothing, scary before I sleep. And it was kind of like more of like a reality show in a way. But I fell asleep when I started dreaming about it. I wasn't like thinking about the reality show. It was just something. But it just shows you, be careful before you go to sleep, like what you're doing. If you're like watching like a really scary movie, if you're watching the news and all the terrible negative things, you could start dreaming about that. So, a lot of times I'll just start reading a book before I go to bed or whatever too. Or if I'm watching television, I'll watch like Family Guy, let's say that cartoon. I love that show. Or something comedy, or I actually watched the show. I can't remember the name of it. It was Bob Dylan, actually. I'm like, wow, that was actually pretty good. I can't remember the name of it. I just saw it and I just captured it. It was actually really, really good. I love shows where it shows like the documentaries and more you learn about it. There's a Bruce Springsteen movie out too that I'd like to see. I can't remember the name of it or whatever, but yeah, certain things gravitate towards what you're more passionate about and such like that. And also take a look at what's not resolved yet, what's unfinished, like projects. I'm always working on different projects myself, right? So if there's certain things you're like, I got to finish that up, like no matter what project it is, house renovation, like just whatever it is, and it's like do this and this and this and that. However, during Mercury retrograde, be careful with whenever you want to, like get more involved in something huge, major project. It's not the time, right? That's why I'm leaving what else I have to do. I'm like, no, I will start that in December. you know, I'm just saying, because if I started it now, oh my God, there'd be a lot more issues. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. Because I already know ahead of time that, this isn't the time because you're going to be swearing and cussing because technical and all of these things. Oh my God. Start writing things down, start working at other things that you've already been working on. Tweak it, revise it, revamp it. So you could be feeling a little bit confused with it. Like, I'm not sure what direction how to go. Just put it aside, go for a walk or something, because you're really going to want to stay grounded this time. With this November 20th new moon in Scorpio, it's very powerful, right? Transformational in such a big way. More truth comes out. Universe wants you to walk your truth even more. You know, it's about making more changes, even physically, no matter what it is. I mean, my weight's up and down, with certain things. I'm very sensitive, so I pick up on a lot of different energy and affects me and my body differently. I'm not going to go on about it, but it just does. So you could get pointed out what certain changes you need to make. Pay attention to your health, of course, during Mercury retrograde. Now is the time to make appointments, set those things up, resolve situations and such, because there can be a real turning point, unexpected radical changes during this new moon, a real turning point for you. And you're going to be like, I got to focus on what really truly matters right now. What is your priorities right now? Like, what truly matters right now? What's motivating you? Like, it's like, yeah, I'm getting tired of doing this and this and that. Oh God, I'm just exhausted. I'm not seeing results, or I'm just not into that anymore. Let it go. Let it go. This is a year of endings. Don't forget completion, universal 9 year, and so on. So you're going to feel it and know it. Like, there's certain things I'm like, I'm just getting drained from doing this. I'm going to walk away. Like, why should I continue this when I'm not seeing results? Why should I be? No, it's just not my path, or it's completed now. That's it. you know? So pay attention right now, especially, because as we're moving into Sagittarius season, November 21st and 22nd, how many of you guys are Sagittarius? How many of you put your hands up? Hands up. So Sagittarius season, brings adventures. You could be like, I want to plan that road trip. Let's book that flight. I want to have like more exciting adventures. We can go on adventures anytime. Gosh, you can go for a walk and go on an adventure, discover new things. You're going to be more open to new experiences. Take a look at, where have you always wanted to go? Like, are you in a position to do that? Not all of us, of course, are in a position to book flights and take road trips and so on. It's those baby steps. We can go on a road trip, for goodness sakes, for the day or a couple of hours. Like, I do photography as like a hobby and such. And, sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, I'm going to take a drive, out of the city a little bit. It's not like overnight. It's like, could be a couple of hours and so on, just to get away, just to get in touch with Mother Nature's and so on. You're not going to want to be restricted. You're going to feel that. Like, what is seriously restricting me? Like, what is restricting me? I want my freedom. I want my independence. I can't deal with this anymore. So when you're feeling restless, which you will, look at what you want to make changes with. This is a radical changes this week. Really big radical changes. I know, but it's hard to do this. Of course, change can be really hard. It can be really difficult. However, it's one step at a time, one step at a time. Baby steps, set little goals, small goals, big goals, little steps, little steps. That's all it takes, right? Little steps, little steps, little. Yeah, but like Jenny, that person got all of that stuff done in a week or a month, and like, oh my, yeah, they're very focused on it. They set certain times to get it done and over with. We all have different priorities in life. You have to look at your schedule. Some people are just so slammed busy with family and lots of things going on. It's like, it's really hard for me to do that. I understand. So you got to go on your own comfort zone too, but so your goals might take longer, let's say. Some people are able to, what? I'm going to get that done this week or in one day or whatever it is, where somebody's like, oh my gosh, it's been 6 months and I've only got a little bit. You know what I mean? Go in your own comfort zone, but be realistic too, like set certain goals and everything. Because if you want to see changes, you've got to start making those steps forward to make these changes. So really pay attention to what is coming up for you. You know, like we all have an idea what we're struggling with, what hasn't been working. Feeling exhausted. You know, we've all been through a lot in this life. We all have, especially with all of these changes that are going on. That's only just going to continue. All of this owl stuff, AI intelligence, you know, it has a lot of positive energy to that in many, many ways, but it also has its negative pullbacks, right? You know, I've seen a certain negative pullbacks with that, with certain things that I'm like, really? That's really, you know, so it takes time to adjust. It takes time to tweak something. It takes time to master something, right? But I want to be an artist, Jenny. Great. That's amazing. You know, some of us, you know, we just have that natural ability and talents and gifts, and we do. Follow your passion. I'd love to learn how to paint. Okay, great. Like, are you looking at classes where you can actually go to a classroom, or is there like online classes, or read about it, or you know, all of those things? There's so many different ways. I prefer classroom, Jenny, than go in a classroom. I preferred online than go online. You know, we all have different ways of dealing with things. We really do. So go on your own comfort zone, you guys. So let's just pull a couple of cards. I'm not going to make these videos too long. I don't use cards, of course, for those of you who know me, I'm a psychic clairvoyant medium. But YouTube, of course, we're going to be talking to the cards. So let's see what the collective energy is. The enchanted map, Colette Baron Reed. Let's see what the energy from the universe wants you to know for this week. So, of course, all of you guys aren't going to be like, well, I can really relate to that, or I don't relate to that. Of course not. 15th to the 22nd, what is the energy? I'm also putting classes together, you guys. Also putting classes together. The retrograde has slowed it down, but that's okay. All right, gives you time to kind of retweak it, go over it, certain things, right? So the 15th to the 22nd, let's take a look at this. Slow and steady, like, oh my gosh. Like, wow, thank you, Spirit. So Mercury retrograde, it's a time when the planets start going backwards. They want us to slow down. Like, don't rush into anything quickly. Like I always say that no matter what, right? But take your time when you're making some really, really big decisions. Listen to how that feels for you. You know, was that the right decision I made? If you're feeling more at peace, then you know what? It was emotional, but I know that it's just not going to work for me. You know, you made the right choice. Slow and steady wins the race. It always do. You know, Jenny, I got 10 pounds I want to lose, let's say. Like, you know, she looks kind of like a snail in a way, this lady. Snails are move slow, right? So slow and steady wins the race. I have 10 pounds to lose, Jenny. Okay. Well, I mean, like you can get it done in a really quick time, or you can do it slow and steady to keep it off. So sometimes the longer it takes for us to do certain things, the more beneficial it will be. You know, if you're working on a project and you're rushing, you very well could make a lot of mistakes. If you rush right into a relationship, it could end just as quickly. Mercury retrograde is not the time to move into a new relationship because there's so many problems with Mercury retrograde, delays, miscommunication, mixed messages, lost messages, and so on. So it's not the time for that. You know, people from the past have come back. How many of you have heard people from the past or you're like, you know, I'm going to reach out to that person, right? Why am I thinking of my ex? Or why did my ex contact me? That's what Mercury retrograde does. It's your choice what way you want to move forward with that person. So let's have a little chat here with the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue, of course. What is the message from the 15th to the 22nd? Transformation fell out right away, like literally. What have I been talking about? This is a week to make some radical changes. You know, the universe has a way to step in, giving you that rude awakening. And with Scorpio energy, with that new moon, it's all about transformation. You're experiencing enormous change right now, which brings great blessings. Yes. Butterflies. You see butterflies around you. That's a sign of transformation, right? You're going through some transformation. Transformation can be many different ways. Transformation of the mind, body, and soul. Like, doesn't matter what it is. Huge transformations. Take a look at it if you're like, wow, I'd really like to do these things. How do you see? So vision, right? Being in Maui, let's say, right? Oh my gosh, like I've been there a few times, you know, and I know how I feel when I'm in Maui. I'm better, you know, I feel like more peace, more comfort, all of that, you know, like water is very soothing and calm. It's a beautiful place. So take a look at where would I like to be? How am I going to feel? It can kind of give you that little push to work towards something, right? That's why I put this background up here today. So let's have a little chat with some ancestral spirit by Jade Sky. We've been doing a lot of healing from past family situations, childhood situations, inner wounds. This is continuing on, by the way. So sneaking memories come up, memories from the past come up more. It can be more of like healing memories that were like, wow, I still need to heal from that. Or why is this bothering me? Because your soul wants you to work through it more, you know? Like since my mom passed away, I'm getting certain messages from people I haven't heard from for a while, of course, you know. November 15th to 22nd, what is our message here collectively? Collectively, 15th of the 22nd. 15th of the 22nd. Some of you might even get that pull to kind of like redecorate your place as well. I mean, you don't have to go out and buy new things. If you don't have the money, don't. You can just switch certain things around. You know, like I switch things around in my place, and I had people like, "Oh, did you just buy that?" And I'm like, "No, it was in my bedroom, or it was in my kitchen, or you know, I move things around, right?" I didn't notice that. Well, you don't normally hang out, let's say, in my bedroom, right? So you're not going to notice that as much. I just moved it in the living room, and then I took what was in my living room into my bedroom, like certain things like that. You know, even if we buy like a new pillow, let's say, throw it on your sofa or your bed, it can bring the mood, it can change the mood, right? Seriously. So November 15th to 20th, even when I repotted my plants, I took advantage of that in the autumn and the summer because the new winter's coming in with a rude awakening. So I have more plants because as you repot them, you know, there's certain baby plants, right? Or I had to repot the smaller plants into a bigger plants. My friend said, "Oh, did you buy more plants?" And I'm like, "No, I just repotted them." So little changes can make it things look different. 15th to the 22nd. You know, some days I just want to give everything away or sell everything and be gone, you know, like just move away somewhere and just start over. Something I am considering about too, by the way. But anyways, back to basics. Simplify, reduce, and center. Like, what did I just say? Simplify things, reduce things, radical changes, center. You have to center yourself. Very important. You know, getting in touch with Mother Nature will help ground you. You know, working out shakes off, you know, like energy that's stuck to us that we need to let go of. So when you're grounding yourself, you're going to see better, like going for a walk, right? Like I'll go to the parks and go for a walk or such, or, you know, I'll go in touch with nature, more nature parks. Like I know where to go, where it's more quiet and it's more nature and such like that, right? I don't try not to go to places where there's certain wildlife and such. I respect the wildlife. But, you know, we all view things differently. I talked about a bear attack, and that happened, unfortunately. But when there's wildlife, when you live in an environment where there's wildlife, you are going to have wildlife sneaking up in your environment and such like that. So it's like you never know what to expect. right? So even though I lived, in a little area closer to like downtown city, let's say, and there's a park, like 2-minute walk, and there's coyotes all in it, right? Like a lot of we have the Fish and Wildlife there a lot. There's a moose that run into the city in the city with disrupting everything. So it happens. It happens. So how many of you guys are going to be joining me next month? You're going to have to subscribe to my channel to get these notifications when I'm going live to offer free readings and to see these videos. I talk a lot about it. I'm also on Instagram, Jenny G Cousins. Join my group on Facebook, Higher Vibes with Jenny G Cousins, because I add content in there that I don't have on my other social media platforms. I'm all over the place. Like just Google me, you'll find me. So until next time, you guys, namaste. Have an amazing